Hey, welcome to Ride Along Live for today, Monday on the ride. So freaking happy to be back in the air chair, man. I'm so happy, so delighted to be back right here on the ride. Yeah, yeah. How you guys doing? How you guys doing? Welcome to the ride. Welcome to the ride. Welcome to the ride. You know, I feel rejuvenated. I feel like, like first day of school. You know, like first day of school, like your first day at school, and you're so excited. You know what I mean? I'm just so excited, guys. We just came out from Ghana. All right. If you've been following our post, we was in Ghana for about 10 days. So much beautiful things that we witnessed there, guys. So much experiences I want to share with you guys. But I'm happy to be back in studio. How you guys doing? Spoiled Child, how you doing? Everyone, how you doing? Akeem Lewis, how you doing? As you come in, go ahead and share up the thing. We have an exciting program lined up for you. Suzette, how you doing? Somebody tag a friend, tag somebody. Let me do it as well. Because today, guys, we are going to be talking a little bit about the budget. Right, we're going to be talking about the budget that was just recently presented by the Honorable Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell earlier today, and we have a slew of panelists who all saw it, and they all have difference of opinion on what they saw. Now, I must say that two of our guests, that's why we're about 2 minutes late. Two of our guests is not yet connected. But they will be connected, and we are showing you that this is going to be a spirited conversation, a spirited debate. But the panelists that are listed on the flyer, that's not all. Of course, you are also a part of the conversation. That's what makes the whole thing interesting, right? You are a part of it as well. Dodo, how are you doing? Big up yourself. Thank you so much, Della. Yes. So you are part of the conversation. So throughout the program today, guys, throughout the programming today, we're going to invite you to call in and tell us what you think. Now, there is no monopoly on good ideas, guys, right? That's why we want the whole world to be a part of this conversation, because it's not about a political party. It's about everybody contributing. So there might be things that in the budget that was introduced today, that was spoke about today, that you don't like or that you have questions about. We want your views on it. That's why we are opening the phone lines from the beginning. Bruno, big up yourself. Thank you so much. All right, so let me introduce the panelists that we have thus far on the program. And again, we are going to be joined by two other panelists within the program. All right, so let's first introduce them all. I just flip the coin and see. You see who's in the big chair right there. He is no stranger. He is no stranger to ride along. He is no stranger to controversy. He is no stranger to this type of forum. Let's introduce my friend Cam Jones. How are you doing, my brother?
Well, Junior, it's always a pleasure to be on your popular platform, and I see it as an honor to be here with two goodly gentlemen of impeccable character, and I look forward to a very spirited conversation about what we experienced today. I mean, it is just historic, and I'm looking forward to the conversation. I think your viewers and the listeners everywhere, they're looking forward to something substantive, because I think Grenada generally is smiling.
Yeah. Okay, Cam, I know you have a lot to say. He is also, guys, no stranger to the ride. He's been on here before, Mr. Sampson, my good friend. I'm happy to call him my good friend. He makes himself available, and I'm very happy about that. Sampson, how you doing, my friend? Journalist.
Greetings, seasons, greetings, one and all. Greetings. It's a pleasure to be here. Always a pleasure to be on the ride. It's a really good ride, and if you realize I'm still smiling, it's because I'm still feeling inspired from today. I watch history made it.
I hear that. And of course, he is, of course, no stranger to the ride. We have all friends. I feel like I'm meeting with such good friends. Mr. Joel Greenidge, how you doing, my friend? Joel Greenidge, how things?
Junior, I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing fine. I just want to take this time to big up your viewing audience at home, in the diaspora, who are locked in. I know everyone is very excited, full of hope, full of optimism about the future of Grenada Caribou and BD Martinique. So I'm excited to be part of the conversation with these goodly gentlemen.
Absolutely. So who's missing so far? We have Cassandra, who's going to be joining us shortly. Cassandra is going to be joining in just in a few. And we also hope to have linking on Mr. Let me see if he is.
Earl.
Yes. Earl Maitland. I just want to see if he is. Nah, he hasn't given me back a word yet. Earl Maitland is going to be joining us as well. So let us start with Mr. Kem Jones. Sir, dressed so honorable today. Kem, I wonder why. Kem dressed
so the jacket.
with the jacket. Not everybody that get Kem to put on a blue jacket. Well, we have him, and he put on a blue jacket. Kem, what's your take? Tell us your honest truth about what you feel about what you felt about what you heard today from the Honorable Prime Minister.
Thank you very much, Junior. My takeaway, and let me make it abundantly clear, I was at the Parliament. So I actually was there in real time, listening attentively to our beloved Prime Minister Minister of Finance, as he presented the estimates of revenue and expenditure for the upcoming year. My takeaway was one of, here you had a team of people who so many people doubted, who so many people thought couldn't do it, couldn't present something that we all will be wowed about and excited, optimistic, we're looking forward to the future. Here you had a Prime Minister who is the leader of that team, putting on the table some real stuff that we can connect with. But while he did that, he actually showed the Grenadian population, home and abroad, that there was incompetence for the last many years. So, in other words, they were sweeping the room and not sweeping the corners. They were not aware that we needed something transformative, something real, to make our people smile again, make our people happy again. So I think everyone in Grenada, Carrick and Petit Martinique can agree that we got something from the budget. You can be a stay-at-home mom, something came to you. You're a pensioner, something came to you. You're a bus driver, you're a teacher, you're a nurse, you're a police officer, something, you're an Imani trainee, something came to you, and it is hope. It is optimism. It says that the Honorable Deacon Mitchell and his team, they are grounded, they understand the needs of the people, and what he laid on that table, we all can relate to it and connect to it. And as we discuss during the program, I will talk some more about the areas that really pull my attention in a big way. I'm very excited. I can tell you, in fact, today I was graced by some folks from Kariakou, Parang and so on. They made a courtesy call. And they sang like they never did before, Parang and so on, but they were still talking about the budget and what they saw today for 3 hours. No one slept, listening to the Honorable Deacon Mitchell. Normally when Keith Mitchell, present with this kind of tone and so on and so forth, you'll find people sleeping or not interested. But no one slept. Everybody was excited. So I look forward to going into the actual presentation, the kind of things that were explained to the Grenadian people, what they can expect. I'm excited.
Yeah. Sampson, let's jump to your thoughts, your initial thoughts about it. Someone just posted on Facebook. I had to chuckle a little bit. They said the final takeaway on this was more condom, less sugar. What's your take on it, Sampson? Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Sampson.
Yeah, I think you have me muted.
Yeah, you're good now. You're good now.
Oh, okay, right. Junior, if somebody had told me last year, August, that December 2022, I would have seen history made, I would have told them never, not possible. Today I feel happy. Today I can sleep comfortably. Today I feel a little bit more manly that we have a government that actually cares about the people. It is not about filling their pockets. It's not about walking around with a card on their shoulder. I am this and I am that. It's about the people. And if we have ever seen a demonstration or a definition of putting people first, we had it in 3 hours today. The Prime Minister literally, for a man of his educational stature, his experience as a successful lawyer, presented a budget that would meet every single sector of our society, from the brightest to the not so brightest, could have related, could have understood what was presented today. This budget, and I was saying to the gentleman before we start, I'm a law enforcement officer and I worked last night. I got home at 7 this morning. Just had about an hour's sleep and had to get up for the budget presentation. I didn't sleep in the entire 3 hours, just about 3 hours. I didn't sleep. And there was not even an ounce of sleep anywhere to be found because it was so intriguing and appealing. Grenada is on the right foot. We are on the right path. And as I said on my Facebook, my personal profile today, Grenada made out the best choice, the right choice, when they chose to vote Deacon Mitchell and the NDC government. Because today we are seeing the benefits of it.
Okay, we'll come back to you and get more of your perspective on everything. Joel Greenidge, what's your take, sir? Oh, sorry. Sorry. Yeah, Joel. Okay, you're unmuted now, Joel. Go right ahead.
Yeah, Junior, I was actually at the Parliament today for the debate presentation, and it sort of felt like deja vu. When we set out just about 2-3 years ago, and decided to do the necessary advocacy and really speak about a brighter future for Grenada. You know, today when I sat there, it was like what I actually visualized would have actually transpired once the Grenadian people elected a young team, a visionary leader, a charismatic leader, a leader who has the best interests of the people at heart. And just the way the Honorable Deacon Mitchell articulated the budget, I think the most ordinary person could have actually understand and embrace the new vision that the NDC has for Grenada, and they would feel a sense that that budget spoke to their needs. It is clear that the NDC would have gone down on the ground at a grassroots level and really engage the people, because they made sure that all the needs of the people were actually considered, whether it's the private sector, whether it's the young person on the block, the fisherman, the fisherwoman, the youth, the young people in agriculture, I mean, the nurses, I mean, just to name a few. They made sure that the entire population, all citizens, felt like their needs were basically met by this budget presentation. And I feel very inspired. I feel very hopeful.
What was different, Kim? What was different about this budget, in your opinion? We don't have Cassandra on yet, but she'll join us shortly because I want a perspective on this as well. What was different about this budget than budget of the past, like the last budget and the budget before that? What do you think, Kim?
You see, Junior, Grenadians are accustomed to a certain tone, a certain arrogance, a certain vexation, a certain fight verbally between either unions and government, private sector and government, churches and government. But here you had a prime minister who spoke modestly and connected. With humility, with simplicity, he was able to connect with the ordinary man, with the person in the middle, with the person way on top. And that is significant, very significant. But not only that, if you look at the budget, what the Honorable Prime Minister and Minister of Finance did was to actually tell us what we really needed, and we knew we needed that. Prioritize health care, prioritize agriculture, prioritize education, prioritize the creative industry. In other words, what he actually brought to the table is not really totally new, but the priority moved from where it was, because agriculture was never seen as important in the last administration. Healthcare was seen as a joke, right? So I was really, really impressed when the Honorable Prime Minister spoke about the new teaching hospital. That's something that I have advocated for, because I said, after all, we have SG right here. Normally, the students will complete a certain, stage of their training, and the last 2 years or so, they have to move to the United States, move to the United Kingdom to do their practicum. That's money that could be used or staying right here in Grenada, remain right here.
Yeah.
Housing, food, entertainment, and so on. If we had that teaching hospital, create the incentives, give them the package so that the specialist doctors and so on from everywhere can come right here and be a part of this new creation. So I was moved, because healthcare is now a priority. Health eating. You talk about condom, VAT, removing condom, and VAT added on sugar. Thumbs up. Prime Minister understands clearly that when one goes to the hospital, they see so many people without, let's say they're amputated. Let me not name the body parts. But I'm saying that to say to you that we have so many people in our country who suffers from diabetes, who suffers from hypertension, who suffers from so many different issues and complications, right? High cholesterol, we can go on. And healthy eating has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
the sugar, the carbonated drinks, you know. But he's also cognizant of the fact that HIV, AIDS, and STD and STIs and so on, that has increased significantly in the last many years with COVID and so on. People of the opinion that AIDS don't exist, but it exists,
Right.
right? HIV and so on. So he's saying, I want you to strap up, but I want to make it accessible. I want to make it cheap so you can access it and use it so that we can at least have a healthier population. So healthcare is a priority, and I'm happy about that. Education, the kind of injection, $15 million in US will be taken from that lending institution for TAMCC because he understands that tertiary education must become a priority for all of our people. Education is liberation. When he spoke about the whole need for us as a nation to invest in our people and see our people as that asset that will drive that transformation forward, I was actually in awe. That's my thinking. If you develop the people, if you develop your human resource capacity,
Yeah.
then we can actually boast and say, well, you know, Grenada is first in this, first in that, and first in this. I travel, and I met so many of our Grenadian nurses who left this country because they were not appreciated. They were not seen as a part of the developmental process. Here you have a prime minister saying, look, they took a certain amount of money from you, we're giving you $500.
Right. Yeah.
We're giving you $500 because that is important. Not only that, the people who are acting in Hollywood will be made permanent, will be regularized, the nurses, the teachers, and the folks in the acting positions. Not only that, he spoke heavily about implementation, and that is significant, Junior.
Yeah. Yeah.
The reason being, when you look at the NNP time governing Grenada, control of Grenada, the implementation rate as it relates to projects where the money is available, but they need to get the people with the kind of skill set,
Yeah.
the expertise to make sure they procure, make sure that the project get off the ground, and make sure that whatever has to be there must be in place. We never had that.
Yeah.
So in the budget presentation, by and large, I was asking, was NNP in power? What were they doing? Were they actually serving the best interests of Grenada? They wanted Grenada to move forward. But generally speaking, I mean, I think I was following social media. I received feedback from so many people. People are happy.
Yeah.
It's a package that many people cannot carry because they're surprised.
Sampson and Joel, jump in here because some are commenting on the budget. I saw a minister posted something earlier to the extent of saying it's somewhat of a fantasy. It's one thing to say something, but where the money coming from? Where they getting the funds to yeah, you unmuted, Dwight. Where the money coming from to actually implement those things, right? Sampson, what's your take on it? Do you see it as somewhat of, or some elements of it as somewhat of fantasy, as was stated by a minister on our Facebook page today?
Without continuing, it has to be a former minister.
Former minister, sorry.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I think the era of fantasy budget presentation has ended. I think it ended yesterday. And we are in an era where we have a government that has a proven track record. If Dickon Mitchell tells you he's going to do A, B, and C, you can put your dollar on the ground, he's going to do it. He said that he was going to pay the pension is paid. He said that he was going to pay back doc salaries, the doc salaries have been paid. He said that he's moving speedily towards half-month salary, he's moving speedily towards half-month salary. We have never had this before. We have had a government that kept making promises to us and then taking back the promise and then coming back to us at the 99th hour of an election and say, oh, we're going to do this and oh, we're going to do that. And this has been the trajectory of elections in the Caribbean for as long as possible. Deacon Mitchell did become prime minister and joined the fan club. Deacon Mitchell became prime minister and set himself apart from the fan club. We have a situation in Dominica who is going to an election. And if you go back as far back as in the early 2000s, Roosevelt Correct has been saying every single election we get to an international airport, and up to this blessed day, Dominica is without an international airport. But Deacon Mitchell has said to the Grenadian people, I am going to pay the pension. Even if I have to borrow the money to pay the pension will be paid. When he became prime minister, he said, I give myself until the 31st of November to pay the pension. The 31st of November came, well, even before that, the pension was paid. You understand?
Right.
So for people who are doubting or have questions, I say to you, brother, sister, cousin, uncle, look at the track record. What has been said that has not been done, right? And I know persons, and now let me make this point because I know my comrade Kem will strengthen me on this. I know people are talking about the regularization of workers. I think that the government is repetitively saying to Grenada, listen, the state we have met the public service in, what are we going to regularize? We need to structure, we need to repair, we need to build up the public service before we can ever begin to think or go down that. And the Prime Minister repetitively said, and I've seen commentaries about that today, I've seen posts about it today, but the reality is, once Deacon Mitchell says that he's going to do it, you can put your buck on it, you'll get done.
Right. Joel, what's your take on it? Those that are saying that this is somewhat of a fallacy, somewhat of a fantasy, hold on. I think we have. Hold on. Before you respond, Joel, I believe that we have a new addition to the panel. So let me introduce her right now. Cassandra, are you there? Okay, Cassandra, unmute yourself. I'm not hearing you. Try to speak now, Cassandra.
Hi.
You there?
Are you hearing me now?
Yeah, okay, I hear you now. Good, perfect. Welcome,
Yes.
Cassandra. We appreciate you coming in and chatting with us. We have much to catch up on, but we'll come to you in a second. Joel, what do you think about those who are saying that this is somewhat of a fantasy? The former minister posted on our Facebook page, which was later deleted a little bit shortly after, about this being a fantasy. What's your take?
Yeah, Junior, those who have actually made those comments have really failed to come to grips with the reality that we have a team that have put themselves up for public scrutiny. Normally, what you will find happening over the years is when it comes close to an election, political parties go into communities and engage the constituents. But there we have a government that after their first 100 days in government went back to the constituents and gave an account for their stewardship and was actually put up to public scrutiny. And that in itself is a reflection of the NDC's government commitment to achieving its goals. Some of the things that the NDC would have actually outlined, the NDC government would have outlined in the budget presentation is basically low-hanging fruits. It takes political will. It takes a government not just looking at securing votes for the next election, but a government that is really based on people-centered development. And if you looked at that budget presentation, it really did not look, it transcends party lines. It did not look at NDC or NMP. It looked at empowering Grenadians, putting monies in Grenadians' pocket, ensuring that Grenadians have a better quality of life and standard of living. And the Honorable Deacon Mitchell made it clear that he's a prime minister for all. And that is clear in this budget presentation. That government is to address those needs. And in terms of the persons who are saying that it's a fantasy budget and how would the government actually fund it? The government has said it very clear in this budget, the need to cut back on wastage. And by putting a committee in place that would actually review and look at how government approach projects, and in terms of looking at the most efficient way in executing those projects. We have never had that before. We have heard of cases of wastage and mismanagement of state resources. So the government has shown that there will be a high level of prudency in the way they manage the limited resources of the state, and they are prepared to allocate those resources in areas that can actually generate revenue for the country, and therefore increasing our export. And that in myself is significant. And we can see a lot of foreign revenues coming from increasing export as we move towards improving our agricultural sector, improving fishing and all of those basically areas. So the government is very clear as to how it's planned to achieve those goals.
All right. Cassandra, welcome in. Again, we appreciate your perspective on this, because, you know, it's very good that, you know, you got a chance to look at it and you could offer that, give us some ideas on your perspective. What's your take on it, Cassandra, on the budget presentation presented today by the Prime Minister?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Hi, Joel, Marcus, Kem, Junior, thank you so much for the opportunity. I think my takeaway, I first like to commend the Grenadian people. I noticed that a lot of people were tuned into the budget presentation, and I think that is commendable. I've always advocated for people to get involved in governance. So I was really, really, really proud to see so many people tuning into the live and the numbers being consistent. So that is something that I noticed that I want to commend the Grenadian public on. In regards to the Prime Minister's speech, one of the two things I took away, the emphasis on the creative industry. I really think that's something that the government should be commended for. And the additional injection of funding into the agriculture sector. Over the years, for those who have known me and followed my advocacy, agriculture is something that I've always been passionate about. So I was really proud, elated to see that the agriculture sector, the Ministry of Agriculture, got some, I think it's what, 37 point something percent increase in the ministry. And I think that's something that is commendable. And then you tie that into the health and the emphasis on health. So I also think that's something that the government, through the Prime Minister's presentation, that they should be commended for, because if you're talking about agriculture, then you're talking about a healthy nation. So that was some plus that I took away. I heard you ask the question, but where's the money coming from? One of the things that I did was compared last year's budget revenue of estimates and expenditure to this year. And one of the things that's consistent is the funders. So you see a lot of funding coming from some of the UNOs, that the receiving United Nations organizations. You see the World Bank listed there. So I think that our governments, past and present, has to be commended in terms of consistency. Looking at the capital projects that's listed in the budget document, I see a continuum of governance, and that is something I want to publicly commend this administration for. So many times, you know, we elect officials into government, and you see them discontinuing projects that the previous administration would have started. And I don't see that much in this budget. I see a continuation, and in cases where need be, I see that there are amendments to some of the projects that the past administration would have started. So that's commendable. I think what I'm taking away from this is that they were they sat down and they looked at maybe some of the loopholes, some of the challenges, and hopefully they're learning from it. And in the case of the debushing program and the Imani program, you hear a lot of emphasis on amending and trying to bridge some of the gaps that existed in some of these projects. So that itself is commendable. So that is my takeaway. I'm still in the process of looking at and comparing the budget figures presented today to that of last year, and I think that is going to be important, whether or not some of the projects, they took away some of the money from some projects. I haven't had the time to actually delve deeply into the document. But for me, again, I'm elated about what some of the things that I'm seeing. I was a bit disappointed in the allocation for the Grenada Spotlight Initiative. I believe that, if you look at the judiciary, one of the challenges that we have had over the years is the the number of cases against crimes committed against women and girls brought before the judiciary. So I would like to see our government place emphasis on ensuring and alleviating violence against women, girls, and our boys. So we can't take our boys out of the picture. So I was a bit disappointed in the $300,000 allocation for the Spotlight Initiative, taking into consideration that the UNOs and the other funders are contributing from their end. But I think it is important for me as someone who's been involved in domestic violence advocacy as it relates to gender equality. I would have loved to see more injection of more funding in that area. Because if we're talking about a healthy nation, if we're talking about agriculture, I heard the Prime Minister emphasize several times on gender responsive policies and gender responsive budgeting. And I would have liked to see that reflected in the amount allocated for the Spotlight Grenada Spotlight Initiative.
All right, I know Dwight had a point. I know Kim has a point to jump on it as well. I see Kim smiling. I know what that means. But Dwight, to your point, you in response to Cassandra's position.
Yeah. Good night, Miss Mitchell. Yeah, and I wanted to say, well, in reference to something that she mentioned, the whole issue of the creative industry, and I believe that when I saw it today, and there have been much conversation about it. It was mentioned in the town hall meeting and subsequently throughout the campaign. But when I saw that there was an allocation in the budget for it, it means that we mean serious business. Now, one of the things that I believe is needed in the creative industry is this proper definition of what that means. Because the creative industry, it's a broad topic. It's a broad area, but it has never really been given much definition within this part of the region. Our government is probably the first government to actually name it and use it within a budget. And I don't think I've ever seen this happen in any other budget throughout the CARICOM speaking region. And the whole issue of, I was actually going to get to the very last point that she made. Now, I am also an advocate against gender-based violence, and I wanted to actually see something mentioned about that, in the allocation as to maybe raising awareness. However, I am very, very elated that the Carlton House was mentioned and given some sort of allocation. I believe that's a step in the right direction, but I would have wanted to see I believe it's a juvenile facility in Bailey's Backlit, if I'm not wrong. I would have wanted to see if they also get some bit of allocation, because what can happen, and I know maybe Cassandra could help me here. There could be a marriage of the two, the creative industry and young offenders who goes into that center. They could be given a second opportunity. Not because traditionally when young people offend, we think about give them a trade, plumbing, masonry, etc. And that is good. That has its place. But I also believe that the creative industry also has a spot somewhere within there that has never been light has never been shined on it. And so we just give them a skill, and 2 tools they decide, well, they don't like this or they can't do this, and we marginalize them or ostracize them or push them on the side. But we definitely need to marry the two, and the creative industry, not just for the Bailey's Backlit, but generally, we need to marry the two in terms of gender-based violence, violence against children, because the creative industry is and I'm someone in it, is a way of you to express yourself without expressing yourself. It's a way for you to use your talent and your gift, to see what's going on within you that you necessarily cannot speak, or you may not feel comfortable speaking. So I really want to see a marriage of the two. But I guess as the program is rolled out, we may just see that come on board.
Yeah, Kim, your thoughts so far. I wanted to pull up. There was a post that was made in the allocation for the creative industry. I'm going to pull up that because I think that's important, because it shows that it's recognized that the creative industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it could bring vast amount of income to the Caribbean. Barbados have recognized that, and they are moving swiftly in implementing and show that that would increase on the GDP. Kem, what's your overall take on the input and the insertion and the budget allocation for the creative industry?
All right, let me firstly welcome Cassandra. I believe Cassandra is a good Mitchell. All right, it's always a pleasure being on set with Cassandra, and I want to agree with Cassandra. I too, I support everything when it comes to finances, the kind of input as it relates to women, girls, boys, gender-based violence, and so on. Anything that can help to alleviate that, anything that can make things better for women and girls and also young men who are struggling with those kind of situations. So I support you, Cassandra. I believe that maybe it could have been 3 million, 4 million. But what I want to also say is that there are other organizations, as you rightly hinted, who are actually, putting resources in that particular area to assist to make sure that things are okay there. Junior, for me, I always say to my colleagues, Africa, and you can look at just Nigeria, for example, they have invested and created a 10-year to 20-year plan looking at the creative industry, looking at movies, looking at, talents, drama, this and that. And they did not, it's not a quick fix. And right now, when we look at Afrobeat and that running the place.
That's the biggest thing.
In fact, they're not just the music video, but the actual movie.
Movies, yeah.
The production.
Yes.
It's American-like. It's on par with American and so on. So it is a good way to generate revenue, but also to create the much needed employment for our people. Our people are talented, For example, today, the Parang band from Carriacou made a courtesy call at my place, where I live, because they're in Grenada. And there is this kid, 5 years.
I saw it on the guitar.
She, just pick up the guitar and started doing her thing. And you're like wondering, is she accustomed to this? No, it's new to her, but it's inside the system. It's in her gene. It's in her DNA. So I'm saying, just as Nigeria and Ghana, where you just
Ghana, I was just there.
You visited, and other parts of Africa, what they have done from the African Union point of view is to strategically and tactically invest in that particular industry in a medium to long-term way. They're not instant coffee. They're saying, down the road, we want to polish this.
Yes.
We want to make sure that we could create this and create that for regional and international consumption. And they're actually reaping the fruits of that right now.
Yes.
We could do the same thing, and not just as Grenada. So I just hope that there can be a kind of Caribbean kind of feel to it. That's where we want to head, because we have the talents here. Just as Africa, that's where we came from. We have it in us. So investing in that particular industry, and it's new. Look, the previous administration spoke extensively about the creative industry. Don't forget that. That's not a new terminology. But they never invested 1 cent in that particular area. But this administration see it fit with our youthful population, with our creative minds, with our hands that could make things, create stuff, with our minds who could turn things around, who could do things and bring money and bring resources. They decided we're going to invest in that.
Yeah.
We're serious about the thing. We're not just talking the thing. I want to commend the government in that particular light, because it's a new trust in going forward. And a good friend who's involved in theater called me and said, I'm just proud, I said, what are you proud of? He said he's proud that the government sees the need to invest in this particular industry, but understanding that it can mean millions and millions of dollars for Grenada as the country. So it's not just an individual or some organization, but they understand or they see the bigger picture. Junior, I'm happy, I'm excited about this particular industry because I believe our young people are very talented. And if you groom them, you invest in them early, we could create, man, a Hollywood right here.
Kim, I'm so happy that you brought up Africa. I am so elated that you brought up Africa and the movie and the music industry and Afrobeat and what Afrobeat is doing to the world, because I was just there and I got a chance to see the talent that exists amongst every single individual that walk on the street. I have a friend, her name is Rose. She's probably watching right now in Nigeria. And we were able to shoot a little skit when we was there. And the actors that we brought in to do it, or the person that we brought in to do it, she had no previous training in terms of any kind of acting skills. And she was just able to just do it. So simple and so easy. Now the Ghanaian and the Nigerian, they realize and they recognize that talent exists. And this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Now, I want to say this also, and I'm going to go to my heavily thinking brother there and see that Joel is in heavy thinking mode. I'm going to get his view on this. There would be 100% concession on VAT and selected production equipment to support the creative industry, creative economy for 12 months to be reviewed starting February 1st. There will be for storage media, production equipment, for content creators, audio visual equipment, audio supplies, all other ICT supplies and devices that are needed for business use in the creative industry. This is big. This is huge. Very, 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 very big. And I applaud the administration, and nobody could say that this is not, even if you don't like the administration, even if you don't support it, this is something that I think is a major investment in the creative art and an investment in people. Joel, your thoughts? Hold on, yeah. Joel. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Joel.
I say maybe just now I might be changing my career. I might, get involved in the creative industry. Today I was actually part of the firing band, and Kim was saying, boy, you look like go pick up a mic.
Yeah.
But yeah, Junior, on a serious note, over the years, many young persons in the creative arts have been clamoring for support in the creative arts industry. Many of them have felt neglected. They have felt that the government did not see the value and the worth that they really can potentially able and contribute to Grenada's development. I mean, the creative arts industry, it's really big. Grenada has a lot of talented young people. I mean, last night I was at Quarantine and I look at the production, and at some point I wanted to know if some of those singers were brought in, and someone said to me, all of those singers are basically a part of local bands, and I was really, really proud. One of the things I would like to see going forward as we develop the creative arts industry, that we have a cultural center, so that, I mean, you can merge the creative arts with tourism, because many times I find tourists come to Grenada, and I've heard that from a lot of friends who would have visited Grenada. And one of the things that they said to me is when they went into the communities, they got to see the talent that young persons possess in those communities, not in an organized way, but just you're in the community and young person just doing their own thing. And I believe if we could really take those talents and we could really harness it, and we could support it with proper management and with the support system that the government would have now created through providing the concessions and stuff with equipment and all of those things relating to that, I could see us having cultural centers across the country, different parishes, and every week, different plays, different performances. I could even eventually see us actually filming movies right here in Grenada. And I know they have your I know, Junior, you have the expertise, and I know you'll be willing to do a mentorship program to really train our young people in that particular area. So I'm really excited about that. I think.
Yeah, Joel, you must know that we have actually had a number of filming taking place here, actually producing good movies here in Grenada, right? So we actually have people here producers and so on, local producers and so on, who have actually done what you actually saying, right? So I want to applaud what you're actually saying here.
Yeah,
Extremely
and
That's
Kim, while you're at it, I know that
really good.
you have to go on to your program shortly. Kim, I know you have to go on to your program shortly, so you could just go ahead with some of your closing remarks real quick,
Well,
and then we'll continue the conversation.
for me, I am happy that relief is coming to everyone in Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. So there are people who complain about the high cost of electricity. Relief is coming. There are people who complain about the condition of the roads. Relief is coming. There are people who complain about a number of things throughout. You know, there are people who talk about temporary work and that kind of stuff. Well, the teachers and the nurses, we're going to start with you. We're going to regularize you. We're going to make sure that you're permanent. The people who are acting in different positions, we're going to make sure that you're permanent, that you have security of tenure. So Sampson spoke about hope, spoke about I can believe, I can trust, right? I know it's going to happen because the Honorable Prime Minister said so. He has not let us down. He has not disappointed us. His team, they promise. So a promise made, a promise kept. He will make sure that it happens. And that is the takeaway here. I can trust. I can believe. I know it's going to happen. I know it will happen. Grenada is back. We are back. Things are going to happen where our families will be transformed, where our communities will be transformed, where our country will be transformed. Look, I'm not saying that he's perfect. I'm not saying that the government is perfect. They're open for scrutiny. They're open to be critiqued from time to time. Nothing is wrong with that. But at the end of the day, there's a renewed hope, a renewed belief. In other words, we see the future as being extremely bright and hopeful. And I'm really proud of that. The mere fact that I'm here on set with 3 intelligent young people, Sampson, Cassandra, Jewel, it speaks volumes. It says that we are on the right track. Here you have 3 intelligent young people who believe, who are hopeful, who believe that Grenada could be great, right? I'm not using great here in the context of Donald Trump and America. Great in the sense that what we miss for the last many years, we will have it and more. Grenada will be transformed and Grenadians will be prosperous and be able to live out the real Grenadianism that we all envisage, that we all want to see. I trust, I believe. Grenada is back. I'm hopeful again, you know, and thank you to the Grenadian people, home and abroad, who came in or who were actually here and voted for that kind of visionary leadership and team. I'm optimistic. And look, I'm always happy to be a part of a panel with this, 3 intelligent young people. And they mean well, and I wish them all the best. Thank you, Junior.
Thank you so much, Kim.
Privilege to be on your platform.
Thank you so much.
And when you're going back to Ghana, please bring me with you.
Yeah, man, March.
But I want to be there.
March.
Even if you consider me to be a stowaway or some kind of luggage person.
March, mark the date, March. We're going back to Ghana, March. Thank you so much, Kim. We're going to keep in touch. All right. Guys, you're watching Right Along Live. Still, Kim has to go on his program, but we still have Cassandra, Joel, and of course, Sampson here. Let me show you guys a quick picture that was taken in Ghana while I was there. We were shooting this clip there. Very interesting. So the new economy will see a lot more of this type of things. We'll see much more movies and short films. I'm even more interested in opening up a whole production company in Grenada now. Well, I've always thought about it, but it's even more that the government is even looking at prioritizing the creative industry. So I'm very interested in doing a lot more. All right, so we'll talk more. Okay, Cassandra, let's talk about things now that you didn't like so much, things that you didn't really favor too much at all.
Junior, just before just before Lady Mitchell said, get to the don't like, I wanted to make a point, just a quick point I wanted to make.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very elated and very happy to hear the National Library back in the budget,
Right.
mentioned in the budget, and not just a library, but a modernized library, and what that means for the future generation of Grenadians. Because a library is just not about books, but the library holds a lot of historical content in there,
Yeah.
and our young people can go back and could pick up a newspaper from 1971, 1950. They would read the articles about Eric Gary, and the struggle, even in 1951, adult suffrage, and so on and so forth. The library is critical, and the Prime Minister mentioned today, and I mean, um, Minister Joseph, I call it, I nearly say, I never say Auntie Claudette because I always say Auntie Claudette. Minister Joseph, even in her campaign, every time I give her a mic, she always talks about the library and what she wants to see happen with the library. And I think it's a start. Also, the Hall of
Mm-hmm.
Justice was mentioned, and we, not Lady Mitchell, but who were here from the very start. We got some news tonight. Um, that literally broke our heart. And for somebody who I'm not going to say it yet,
Yeah.
but for somebody who had rallied and fought to see what happened, to see it has come to this, really breaks my heart. And in the whole situation, Alexander Clark, and so on and so forth, and we had a government for 20 odd years. And we had a quote that was floating around St. George's as if it was had balloons attached to it, from the stadium to this place and that place. Junior, how many years since after Hurricane Ivan, the Governor General residence is still in ruin. The House of
Mm-hmm.
Parliament, well, the former House of Parliament is still in ruin. That building could be transformed into, a proper court facility, something historic. But but anyhow, I'm very, very happy to see that those two pillars of our national architecture being mentioned and being given the spotlight and given the financial support that it needs.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Cassandra, to the things that you heard today that you think could have been thought out better or was missing in some aspects, did you see anything that you would like to bring to light?
I
Cassandra, you
think
there?
it's right
Or-
to really preempt the budget. Um,
Mhm.
are you hearing me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. Yes.
Okay. So I don't think it's to preempt the budget right now. What we heard today was just the speech, and to kind of give a superficial or summary of what is to come. We do have to hear from the rest of the ministers. I know that we have picked out certain aspects of the budget that we are pleased with. I did mention the allocation to the agricultural sector and the mention of the creative industry. But if we delve deeper into the budget documents, there are so many other issues. Climate change, as a small island developing state, I was also humbled and pleased to hear mention of emphasis on climate resilience and how we are going to build our resilience as a small island. We also heard about geothermal energy. And
Yeah.
I'm in part of a grouping of civil society. I know over the years that is something that we have been a part of in terms of the consultations. We have raised concerns which has not been addressed by the past administration. So we are anticipating, hopefully, that this administration is going to engage stakeholders in regards to that geothermal initiative. We heard mention of I think it's the Cliff project that's going to be done in the Woburn to Grandlands area. I don't traverse that area, but when I do, I want to agree that there is work that needs to be done in that area, so that in itself is commendable. What other, if I can pick off the top of my head? Housing is another issue that is of relevance to the Grenadian people. And I think we heard the Prime Minister, Minister of Finance mention allocation to the housing sector. What I'm also pleased with in hindsight, sitting here and listening and kind of going through the budget document, is compared to last what I have seen is that most of the documents were prepared on time. It's very comprehensive I have to say this, like for instance, estimates of revenue and expenditure is 508 pages long. That is how in depth it is. So that's why I'm saying that is, I don't think it's fitting for me now, not having perused the entire document to actually give an opinion based on just the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance. If today there are certain things that I'm elated about the removal of VAT on certain items. And one of the things is the allocation, I think, of the 20% tax on sugar. While I agree with it, don't get me wrong, I think it has to be a phased approach. I am concerned because I know people who are addicted to sugar like a drug. And if you have to put something like that in place and tie it into the health sector, I think it's something that has to be phased. I don't know. That's my humble opinion. I'm glad to hear mention of the removal of VAT on certain items. I heard mention of soya chunks, sanitary condoms. We just came from World AIDS Day where we are hearing that we had 25 new cases of infection in Grenada. And interestingly, there's about maybe 9, subject to correction here, that 25 are young people under 24. And that is very concerning for, and should be concerning for us. It is a public health issue. So I'm glad to hear that. But outside of the removal of VAT on condoms, one of the things that I would like to see coming from our Ministry of Health is emphasis on a more awareness program on HIV/AIDS and discrimination, because there are people living with HIV/AIDS in Grenada, and I think we really have to do in terms of educating the public on effective. So the for health, climate resilience. I would love to hear our young minister speak on climate resilience and moving forward, how we need as a small island developing state plans that she has in place for us. What other areas? Right. Of course, domestic and social safety net programs. Really elated to hear the allocation for the Ministry of Social Development. Ministry of Youth had a huge allocation, and that is commendable given the huge youth population that we have. The estimates on expenditure is what it is, estimates. I think we really will have to pay attention in the start of the new fiscal year as to how our government is going to distribute the resources, because we know that the resources are scarce. We're taking into consideration Minister of Finance, the extra factors. We have a war out there in the Middle East. We have inflation. We have what may be a pending recession, but that is a question mark, because if you look at our report coming from our Minister of Finance, our economy seems to be doing well. So there's a huge responsibility on this to ensure that the economy continues to do well in internal factors and all of the things that are happening. Are we going to do that? And that is why, again, I am commending them for the allocation and the emphasis on the creative industry and agriculture. And I'm hoping to see that trickle down into SMEs, and to see that entrepreneurs and new and budding entrepreneurs come out, so that we can have a thriving economy. What may happen, because our government prices, what happens between Russia and Ukraine, they have no control over that. So I think as a people support our administration and ensure that we make preparations for what may come. Okay. Because other countries, developed countries, are preparing for what may be a recession and other external factors. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Cassandra. There, guys, Joel and Sampson. The fact that we are here and we're speaking about such activities that the Prime Minister is able to do is kind of a referendum on the past administration. And shouldn't we be giving the past administration more credit right? Because we speak a lot about the things that they did and things that it seems like it's all negative stuff, but it's obvious. It seems that the economy, the economical pillars of the country was run pretty well in terms of having the finances to be able to do so much things. Would you agree, Joel or Samson? Samson, yeah.
I would
Well,
listen.
Junior, let's look for is something you're gonna go first.
Yeah, either one.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Junior. Yeah, Junior,
Go ahead, Joel.
coming out of the 2008 global financial crisis, the government embarked on a homegrown structural adjustment program, and we must agree with the fact that there was a lot of taxes that was added to the tax system that we had, right? And Grenadians was asked to make a lot of sacrifices. And the fact is, I applauded the government for, taking that firm action in terms of creating a structural adjustment program. Though it was really tough, though there was a lot of financial hardship and pain, I also applaud the Grenadian people for really demonstrating that patriotism, and by making that sort of sacrifices. So what we are actually seeing right now is a collective effort and the will of the Grenadian people when called on to make tough decisions. We made tough decisions. So what we are actually realizing now in terms of the solid economic foundation is a result of our shared sacrifices.
Mhm.
What I applaud the new administration for now is how they are prepared to use those resources, not to patch problems, but really to address the root causes of some of the economic challenges, the health challenges that our country is facing. So I would applaud the former administration for having the political will to embark on the homegrown structural adjustment program. Because in many countries, a lot of governments actually avoid it based on the political repercussions it can possibly have. But at the time, I think it was a wise decision. Though it was tough, but I think it would not have been possible if the Grenadian people did not really stand firm and decide that we are prepared to make our fair share of sacrifices in that regards.
Yeah, Samson, what's your take?
Yeah, in addition to what my comrade Greenwich has said, the Prime Minister today in the budget presentation alluded to several projects that Grenada would have been monies have been dispensed for. One of those projects was the Fort George Rehabilitation project where there was a significant amount, and out of that was just about $600,000 or so that was spent. Clearly, the previous administration had an issue with spending money. They would collect it, they would have it, they would keep it, but spending it seemed like they had a challenge in spending money. And so they preferred to see teachers marching in the hot sun. They would have preferred to see families continue to go without basic essentials or basic amenities in this modern world, and have what we call big bank accounts. The approach of this new administration is the money belongs to the Ghanaian people, so therefore it should go back to the Ghanaian people. And therefore, we are going to find ways and means of giving people back their money. And what Grenade said is fundamental. After Hurricane Ivan, in the post-Ivan period, Grenadians were asked to make tremendous sacrifices, and the monies and stuff were collected for these from ordinary Grenadians who made those sacrifices. But then the question is, where was those money spent? Are there track records? I mean, in the town hall meeting, the Prime Minister made mention of two organizations where we see significant funding, and today he made mention of other other examples of wastage. But the ultimate takeaway is that there is monies available. There is issues on the ground. There are things that needs to be done. So why not use the money to the benefit of all Ghanaians?
Yeah. Cassandra, you wanted to chime in?
Yes. Yes, I think Sampson was referring.
Hold on, your audio kind of breaking up a bit, Cassandra. All right, guys, we're going to work on connecting, having a better connection there with Cassandra, guys. You're watching Right Along Live, and we are talking about reactions to the budget presentation that was presented earlier today by the Prime Minister, Honorable Deacon Mitchell, and the general reaction. Of course, giving you an opportunity to chime in as well. So you could call in at this number, put it up on the screen, 718-701-5720. It's right there, 718-701-5720. Let's hear your point of view on it. Again, 718-701-5720. That's our number. Let me see if Cassandra audio is still off. So we will try to reconnect again
I
to
wanted to
Cassandra.
make this point
All
while
right.
you wait on
Okay.
Lady Mitchell.
Yeah, go right ahead. Go right ahead, Sampson.
Yeah. Going back to something that Ken would have mentioned before he had to subsequently leave us. And that's the whole issue of the teaching hospital. And for the life of me, I never understood why we didn't have such in Grenada. Grenada should be the mecca for health tourism in the Southern Caribbean. For one, that we have a full-fledged medical university right there on the southern tip of our island. And so, you know, like everything else, under the previous administration that was underutilized, I do believe that the university was underutilized. And so, as a result of that, the Grenadian people did not benefit from that. And not just that, you know, we send off a number of young persons on a yearly basis to Cuba to study medicine. And you know, and I want to commend the young people who make those brave sacrifices. But when you look at that, and this is not, and let me make this clear, this is not an attack on anybody who have gone off to study or whatever the case may be. But when you look at the amount of young persons who have gone off in the last 10, 20 years to Cuba to study and have returned to Grenada, and you look at the state of the medical state of health care in Grenada, you have to ask yourself, where are we going wrong? What are we doing wrong? Because the two somehow just doesn't match. It doesn't connect. You know, the both sides of the spectrum doesn't match. You know, so the teaching hospital, I think, is another welcome gesture. I'm trying my best, not to go too deep into the budget. I think it's too preliminary for that right now. I'm waiting to hear the budget responses. I'm waiting to hear what the opposition has to say, and then we probably come back on a program and really begin to dissect in totality the budget, because today was just the presentation. We presented the budget, but then we need to now examine, as Lady Mitchell would have said, we need to examine the figures and make our comparisons and so on and so forth, and really begin to go down into it so Ghanaian people could understand. I know Lady Mitchell is back, so I'm going to yield it to her.
All right, let me see if we could get her visual in. Again, guys, you're watching Right Along Live, and we're talking about the budget presentation that was, of course, presented today by the Prime Minister. Okay, Cassandra is back on. Let's get her back and connected. Cassandra, you're back. Go right ahead.
Oh, my apologies. My battery died. I just wanted to address the issue of the fort project. I think that fall under the OECS Competitiveness Tourism Initiative. And having been part of the consultation over the years, and the issue was not necessarily not spending the money. I heard the Prime Minister earlier up in his presentation mention the introduction of a social partners committee. Maybe the Prime Minister is not aware, but the social partners committee existed since March of 2013. And one of the reasons why it existed was to that synergy between non-state actors and government. And over the years, donor funders like the World Bank and the EU and a lot of other organizations who fund projects in Grenada tend to always ask for the involvement of social partners. And we have to many times rubber stamp a lot of these projects. In regards to this particular initiative, when we met with the consultant, there were a lot of concerns about the project. And in the end, the consultant had agreed that they were going to bring the concerns to the government, to the relevant ministry, and that at that time was the Ministry of Tourism. And then they were going to come back to the stakeholders, and that has never happened. So imagine our surprise when we see the the MP for South St. George, actually coming on TV and saying that they have already made a decision, and stakeholders have never been consulted from since then in regards to that particular project. So a lot of the times, you know, we get criticized, I get criticized about where you did they and whatever. I've been involved in national development for a number of years, although I'm still pretty young. And that was one of the projects that we've been involved in. And I can tell you, when the World Bank and the IMF comes to Grenada, one of the first groupings that they ask for meetings with is civil society, the social partners, and other non-state actors. So we do play a crucial role in national development. And again, the way we have never been consulted, as I asked when I saw the MP on the news clipping. I called around to my colleagues and I asked, were there any other consultations after the one that we had, I think was in 2017? And they indicated to me not as far as they're aware of. So I just want to put that there. So I don't know if they were.
You also made a post that said, where is the law establishing the Ministry of Mobilization, Implementation, and Transformation as directed by the Constitution? Were you looking for some kind of allocation or some mention in the budget as it relates to the MIT?
No, since the creation of that particular ministry, one of the things that some members of civil society has asked, according to the Constitution, Section 58, subsection 3, it gives the authority to create offices other than the office of Prime Minister, but all of these new ministries must be established in law. So with the creation of this Ministry of Mobilization, Implementation, and Transformation, we have been asking since we heard of it, where is the law establishing that ministry as directed by the Constitution? Again, Section 58, subsection 3 of the Constitution says that. So we've been asking that. Nothing except establishment and creation of a law prevents the Prime Minister and the Governor General through Parliament from creating that ministry. But again, we haven't seen it. And Grenada will continue to state again that Grenada is governed by the rule of law. Like if you look at the Ministry of Health, for instance, you'll find legislations, the Public Health Act, the Quarantine Act, a lot of acts that support the activities and decisions that will be made by this particular ministry. Ministry of Climate Resilience, if you look, you'll find legislation supporting activities around climate change, climate resilience, waste disposal, you'll find legislations that cover that. Ministry of Youth, you'll find legislations that cover the activities and decisions made by the Ministry of Youth. And we have not seen this with this particular ministry. And one of the things that I did was that I called around and spoke on parliamentarians who were there long before I was even born. And I asked, am I wrong in interpreting this constitution like that? And what I found out is that there was never a Ministry of Implementation, contrary to what many think. Under the previous administration, former Prime Minister Mitchell created a department. So there was a department under the Prime Minister's ministry, I think it was. But there was never a separate Ministry of Implementation. The only time that existed was under the PRG. And it's interesting to note that the PRG was not a constitutionally elected administration.
Right. Yeah. All right, guys. Again, we're giving you guys an opportunity to chime in. The phone lines are open, 718-701-5720. I want to say good night again to my colleague in Ghana who is checking us out, Rose, and friends and family down there. Thanks for watching and paying attention to even what's happening this side of the world. I know it's like about going on 1 o'clock after 12 midnight in Ghana, but you are chilling and paying attention and keeping up with us. So thank you for that. We don't get to the tail end of this discussion here, guys. So I just want to find out from everyone. Let's go wrong, right? Who was the winners and losers in this presentation, if there were any winners and losers? Joel, were there any winners or losers, or who were the winners, big winners, and who was the losers in this one?
Well, I mean, ultimately, I think, based on the budget presentation, the ultimate winner is the Grenadian people. I think from the standpoint of the opposition party, while I know that the opposition is there to oppose for opposing sake, I do hope that they will definitely embrace some of the ideas and the policies and programs put forward by the NDC administration. Because at the end of the day, Junior, we are at a turning point right now. And I think, politics aside, we must look towards the future in terms of creating a sustainable, prosperous Grenada for all citizens. For far too long, we have seen many Grenadians languish in the dark corners of a society in poverty and pain and hardship. And I think this administration, based on their policy and on the budget presentation, is really moving in a direction that most Grenadians, or if not all Grenadians, believe we should move in. So I would like to see all stakeholders involved in the process. I think feedback is important, objective feedback, but I think we should really embrace this new vision for Grenada. And we need all hands on deck. And I believe we were able to move with one common vision, with all hands on deck. I think we'll be proud of the Grenada we can create together.
Yeah, yeah. Samson, what's your take? I know you may want to add to it, but also include that part of it. Were there any winners or losers? Or if so, who was the winners and who was the big losers in what was presented here today?
I don't necessarily think that there was any losers. I think that they were all winners. The Grenadian people won today. There were, and let me just make this clear that there were aspects of the budget that we spoke about this before the show began, that I was not in total agreement with. And one of those areas is the added VAT on sugar. And I understand the health implications surrounding sugar, and Lady Mitchell would have spoken to some of those. But I also believe that there are families in Grenada at this time that cannot afford sugar now as it's zero rated, much less when it's not. And I think that we need to give and take. And I want to agree with Lady Mitchell in saying that it should have been a phased approach, as well as more dialogue and stakeholder discussions around it. One of the things I believe could have happened was that you said if you purchase 5 pounds of sugar in a given month, or in a given period of time, so something if you buy a bag of a 5 pound bag, then it's zero rated and much opposed to buying the 100 pound bag or whatever the case may be. Then we can have a conversation. I as someone who has rallied and been a part of HIV/AIDS campaigns previously, I do support the zero rating on condoms, but condoms has always been a free commodity. It's something you can walk into any health facility across Grenada and get.
Not the good one, not the good ones. I mean, not the good ones.
Give and take, good, bad, whichever. The point I was going to make in that regards is that the government could have said we instead of zero rating it, they could have decreased the amount of VAT on it to a certain amount. So there's balance.
Right.
But anyway, I think the Grenadian people won today. As one former minister says, words versus reality. We have the next 12 months or so to see the reality of this. And I'm looking forward to seeing the reality of it. I'm looking forward to seeing the rollout. I'm looking forward to seeing how the government plans on achieving this. One of the things I want to, I've said this in private circles and I'm going to say it publicly, I want to caution the government that, before you start, spending, put the structures in place. One of the things that was grossly lacking from the previous administration is structure. And you see that happen, in basic things like the seed program. You don't know who in the community you need to go to. You end up in an MP's office to get on the seed program, and even when you have basic things to do, you're going from from the Ministry of Finance and the Carnage up to the Botanical Gardens and back and forth and up and down the place, just trying to get one simple thing done. And, you know, and as I say that, the whole ease of doing business report comes back to mind. You know, we need to smooth out that, you know. And you know, one of the things the Prime Minister said too as well, you know, the whole disenchantment of the public service. This government needs to spend time rebuilding the public service and build it in a way that people feel included, inclusive. They feel a part of the process. They feel ready. They feel appreciated. You know, and they feel as if their effort is not going in vain. It's not just about collecting a salary at the end of the month, but I'm a part of a team. I'm a part of making things happen. You know,
Right.
And so that is critical. And I think that in the next 2 to 3 months, maybe up to 6 months, while we spend it, while we get in the projects and the programs on the road, let's spend some time building the human resource capital, because without them, nothing is possible.
All right. So, Cassandra, we're gonna end with you. Who do you think, if there are, who do you think are the losers and who are the big winners in this one?
I don't think there are any winners or losers when we are speaking about the national budget. I think
Right.
that sort of language is a bit divisive.
Okay.
But the proof of the pudding is really in the eating. The budget really is a wish list. I would like to wish my government the best. I think there are some plans that I've heard presented today that are feasible. I want to caution, if I may use that word, or suggest that we stop use of the divisive language. I firmly believe that the campaigning is over. We are months past that. The people that we have in our parliament is representatives for all of the people, whether they voted for you or not. This is time for us to build our country. We have to prepare for tough times. So the divisive language is not going to be helpful. I want to comment. I'm on the ground, I've heard stories about ministers, the MPs who are doing a fabulous job. I want to commend them. Some of them have texted personally and said, keep up the good work. Others, I don't want to go on the youth and inexperience tangent, but it is a journey, and I'm hoping that they learn from the mistakes that they're making, and they learn very fast, because we are seeing developed countries preparing for a recession and banding their bellies, as we say in local parlance. So we have to, we are depending on our elected officials and our representatives to protect our fundamental rights and freedoms, and protects us from the external shocks, from the shocks that we're going to feel from what is happening externally. So my best wishes to my government. And just because you criticize doesn't mean that you're against the government. I have been criticizing the former administration. It doesn't mean that I was anti-NMP or anything, because anybody who knows me intimately knows that I do not support parties and representation. I'm all for government. And so if my government is doing a good job, I will tell them that they're doing a good job. And if they're doing something that I question and I have concerns, I will definitely be one of the loudest voices for those who knows me. So that is where I want to end this. So I look forward to hearing the debates from the rest of our representatives. I'm looking forward to the Leader of His Majesty's Opposition's presentation on Thursday. And I look forward to a prosperous 2023.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Cassandra, Michelle, Joel Greenidge, and of course, Dwight Sampson, guys. Thanks again. And we will try to have a discussion again on Thursday after the Leader of His Majesty's Opposition makes his presentation as well. Thank you, guys. We'll keep in touch. Joel, Dwight, and Cassandra. Peace out. Yeah, guys. So again, listen, this is part one of the discussion. I promise you that on Thursday, we'll come back again and have this discussion all over again, right? We have to hear it. Now, before this program started today, I did make contact with, of course, a few individuals, because I wanted to have a very balanced conversation, right? But we did not get any person on the NNP platform who's willing to come on today. Quite possibly they will come on Thursday, hopefully, so we could have this discussion from that perspective. All right. And of course, Earl Maitland, he had promised that he would come on, and we didn't see him. So we're going to find out what happened there with Earl Maitland. Anyway, keep you guys update as to what's happening here. Guys, we're a little bit over time, but I got to tell you this before we go. Don't forget, on the 23rd, guys, we're having our Ride Along Big Money Bingo, $6,000 money bingo. You can get your tickets tonight. Tickets are capped at $20. You get your ticket to $20, and you have an opportunity to win over $6,000. Yeah, get your ticket tonight at ridebuy.com. That's ridebuy.com, right? Ridebuy.com. That's where you get your tickets. Also, guys, if you approve for the CES program, the CES grant, if you were paying attention, we did promote it a couple of times. And of course, this is out there. The government is giving in grants. This is not a loan. This is not something that you have to pay back, up to $30,000, right? To start your own business, right? So a number of individuals were already approved for the CES program. So we have partnered with the government of Grenada to make these items accessible. So you understand the process, that the government is not giving you money in hand. Essentially, they are purchasing the items. They are forwarding these payments to companies to purchase these items. So we have partnered with the government to make it easier for you to obtain those products, right? So if you were already approved for the CES program, you're already approved for your grant, all right? Give us a call, and we would streamline the process of getting those items to you as quick as possible, all right? So you could call us at this number, 718-701-5720. We'll advise you on the products. We'll acquire the products on your behalf, and we'll ship the products back to you quick and fast. Now, if you have not yet been approved by CES, there's nothing that we could do. The first step is to get approved, and then we do our part in acquiring the products here in North America or England or wherever the products resides, and get the product back to you quick and fast. All right. Of course, if you need the help getting the products again, give us a call, 718-701-5720. You could contact us on WhatsApp. You could contact us on direct, or you could also contact us in the chat. Just send us an inbox message, and we'll be able to give you information how you could proceed so that we can help you get your products quick and fast. All right? Yes. All right. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, guys, oh, I didn't say this. October 2023, we are going to Dubai, right? October 2023, we are going to Dubai. So here's what. We already started to send out this information to the folks that registered on our VIP list. The numbers are, listen, we are under 45 spaces remaining. If you want to go to Dubai with us, we are taking a group to Dubai. Please get on the VIP list. Otherwise, you may not. After we hit that 100, we can't take no more. It's done. It's finished. Right? Also, we're going to be telling you about our trip. This is a ride along travels and tours together with Sherry Travel. We also have a group package, but this one is going to be only 50 people, guys. Only 50 people. I'm sorry. We're going to be going to Ghana. And that's in March of 2023. So there's two things, guys. Dubai in October of 2023, and Ghana. Yes, we're going to the motherland in March of 2023. It's going to be very exciting. We're planning a major concert in Ghana. It's very, very exciting. We're going to be bringing up a few artists in Ghana as well. It's just going to be a really nice event. We're planning to, I ain't going to tell you guys the location yet. I ain't saying nothing else about Ghana yet, because we only have 50 tickets, 50 spaces. All right? I'll tell you more about that. So 3 things I want you guys to put on the calendar. Tonight, I want you to go get your tickets for the Ride Along Bingo. Get your tickets for the Ride Along Bingo at ridebuy.com. Tickets are $20. You could get 5 tickets for $100. 5, count it. Wow, 5 tickets for $100. Get your tickets tonight at ridebuy.com. If one of our moderators could put it there for me, ridebuy.com. That's where you get your tickets. And you can get 1 ticket for $20 and 5 tickets for $100. Wow, this is amazing. Get your tickets tonight at rideby.com. That's rideby.com. And again, let me say it one last time. Were you approved for the CES grant, government grant? Do you need help in acquiring the items? Then give us a call. 718-701-5720. That's 718-701-5720. And we'll help, we'll advise, we'll acquire the items and ship the items back to you quick and fast. We got a sponsor break and we'll be right back for the closing thoughts. Don't move, we'll be right back.
Carpentry and Cleaning Service Inc., providing exceptional carpet and cleaning, floor installation, refinishing, home renovations, drywall, painting, plastering, doors and moldings, electrical and plumbing, and much more. We are a one-stop shop for all your professional needs. Give us a call today on 718-221-5572. That is 718-221-5572. Or you can call our cell on 917-939-3192. Check out our sales on all services. We're located at 218 Schenectady Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. Phillips Carpentry and Cleaning Service Inc.
Williams Funeral Service serve you with dignity and compassion as you mourn. Every day, we embark on the journey of life, and one day, the journey will end. It's on that day that you can entrust the celebration of life of your loved ones to David Williams Funeral Service. Call 718-291-3823.
Grenadian products are now only a mouse click away at GrenadaMarket.com. Nutmeg and guava jams, jellies and the syrups, world-famous nutmeg pain relief spray, black sage, soursop, lemongrass, and bois bande bar. Ordering is simple and friendly. All major credit cards accepted. Safe, secure shopping guaranteed. GrenadaMarket.com ships your product anywhere in the world. So when you can't go to the island, the products off the island can be sent to you. Just log on to www.grenadamarket.com and experience our quick delivery and homely service.
Thanks again for watching, and thanks for being a part of our program. I'll be our follow production team here at Ride Along, our senior executive producer, Lois JJ. Of course, our moderators, Kibbs, Deanne Fraser, and of course, Gail Charles. Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys. Catch you again tomorrow. Good night.